Palms up. In here. Peace to all beings. Settle that one. Set peace. That includes the 144,000 spiritualized cells in your being. The beings in you. It also includes the organs, because they're entities. Your heart's an entity, lungs, kidneys, liver. And your heart, physical heart, is what you are training to be a body for your next incarnation. Because it's thinking all the time. There's 4 beats there. And it's looking forward to doing something. It's trying to work through the human condition called you, with your overlays and your ego's things. The heart is unique. Everybody talks about the love of the heart, but you forget that the heart it speaks vile things. It wants. Wants. It's the bones in your body that are giving you the privilege of being yourself. The bones. Because the sheath around the bones is the covering of the Holy Spirit. It produces your blood by the caress. It's a caress. The bones actually cry from the loving embrace. It produces the blood so you can walk around thinking you're you. Peace to all beings. Take a breath, let it out. You're considering another consciousness of yourself. The inside that is waking up. Your mind is behind you, because that's what you've already done. Why you think you know something. Why you think you have a presence. Because you process the data with the brain, synapses, entities in there also, passing messages, so to speak. And you forgot yourself. The interior portions of your being are waking up now. The spiritual forces in you. That's why you, in the time now where you will not be breathing yourself, someone else comes through to breathe you. It's the grand chakra in your back opening. It's where the Holy Spirit comes in, where the Virgin Mother comes in, where how Jesus comes in. They'll come directly, actually. They do to seize to reduce your fear thing. But they come through you from behind. So you can't contemplate what they're talking about. And mess it up. The opportunity now in this month is to receive blessings, entities. Because things are just starting to heat up. You're feeling it, you know it. You're becoming confused by it. Your news is taking you over here, when your brain is present here in your body. You have no idea the consequences in your news articles, of the reflection it has in you, and the reaction. And same when you're watching your movies and TV. Because the receptive devices of the eyes creates a chemical reaction within the system called you, where you have to determine who you are consistently. Not from focusing on the mind part, which is behind you. You've already done that. is the newness of your present brain. Your brain, present. And the heart chakra, the chakra, Now the heart is over here to the left. The heart chakra is directly in the center. You have strings attached there, so to speak, where one of your 7, you have an entity in each chakra. You have a seal for each chakra when you've completed your understanding of the mission of yourself, why you're here. Not just a simple coffee and tea and beer. Tell everybody how great you are. You're here to understand the system of self and to remember how you were born, not simply the conception process. How did you get drawn into that union? How? Because the energy of the prayers involved with the two. Called you, you said yes. You said yes. And then you found yourself in that situation of the yes. And oh my, now what? And you're stuck in a system of life for 80 to 100 years in that now what? Breathe through it. Forgive yourself. You thought you knew something and you found out you didn't. It wasn't exactly what you thought. So you lock down your spiritual effervescence, I'll call it. The part of you that saw you in the fetus growing. Living off the embryonic fluids. For the oxygen and the water for breath. And you came out of the water environment and breathed one. Breathe. You had a different source of life in the breath. It's still oxygen, but the intake was different. The other thing you're forgetting about your system of the self is the importance of water. That carries oxygen to the interior portion of your being down to your toes because you don't breathe that deeply enough. You can't. It's the water that provides the current of the life force through you, electrical force. In your books, it tells you, God's path is through the water. Through the water. So when you drink it, you bless it and you're thankful for it, and you're oxygenating yourself. You're literally talking to each organ in your body when you drink your water. This is what I want you to do with this. But you're not aware of it. You're not aware of it. The grand chakra. Some of you have heard of it, some of you haven't. That's the chakra that's behind your heart chakra. It's big. It covers your whole back. It has an imprint of your astrological chart. It's vertical. The midheaven's up. Those forces in the astrological chart, those planetary spiritual forces that came in with you with your birth process and boom, you're out of there. That you sign contracts with. That's why they're in the positions in the houses with the energy forces that they're there for a reason for you. You joined that school. That chart now is starting to do this. It's going to tip forward. The physical part of you must stand, or you will be going like this until the thing's horizontal. And then you're going to have to stand up to it. Stay straight, let it tip. It'll be around your waist like a plate. The midheaven will be in front of you. Your brain is present, you'll know where you're going, and you will feel the forces of the spiritual forces of the planets. Not the intelligence of the planet. The spiritual forces. Two different forces. The spiritual forces are part of your own individual I am presence that is associating and communicating with that particular planet in that particular house, instructing you in the wisdom of the positioning of that force. Now, the positioning of the force, that's you. No matter where you are positioned. So you need to reflect back in your old mind. Continue with the brain being present and expect a newness in the body. Because you walked with your mind, or everybody else's mind actually. You had your own ideas as a child, but you were put down, crushed. So at this time you have the opportunity to redevelop your mind, or resynchronize it to the pleasant experience of yourself within a body with entities, organs assisting you. And then the requirement becomes upon yourself. Yourself. The inner self, the outer self, all 48 personalities you have, 49. 49 doesn't bother you. You'll understand the self, not selfishness. It's one of the how do you say? One of the yearnings of the heart is selfishness, because it needs to beat. It doesn't know how it beats. The heart is self. Within the juncture, those 4 chambers, there's a little cave where your pure essence light is. Innocence lies never born before, in the expression of it anyway. It's hiding in there. It's coming out now, or wants to. And that's what's going on in the physical body. You're literally changing physically. You're going to breathe differently. You're going to use chakras that you haven't probably known exist. Particularly these 2 up here. There's breath there. And you have a blowhole like a whale in your back, which is just above the center of your astrological chart, in between your shoulder blades, which have 7 chakras behind them, which is where you store your karma. You store it so you don't forget it. You call it karma, something else. It's where you store it. And then you have to clean it. The 7 chakras along the shoulder blades, and that's why there's a lot of energy there. That's where we'll say your wings come out. And it's also where you accept the transmission of information for the continuity of your consciousness forever. Because you're always forever. That same place, maybe. The when is not the issue. The issue is your isness and the peace of yourself wherever you are. Yeah? When you understand, when you truly understand that you are a gift of God, because you answered prayers, whatever form those prayers were, it could be anger, rape, you answered. You answered. Because in certain realms out there, you have a power that you can control with consciousness, proper thought. You thought that would apply down here, it didn't. Overwhelmed with so much information you don't know yourself. You know more about other people than you do yourself. Because that's all you talk about is other people. Right now you've got other people inside you. You do. What you don't realize sometimes, those other people are possessors. You're possessed. Why? Because it feels good. You like it, it's company. You recognize it, it's familiar. You're being used. If you know that, you can work with the beings. If you don't know that, you're not going to be any help to yourself or anyone else. You're in serious trouble in the physical world here. Physically speaking, and spiritually speaking. The only thing that's going to rescue you, or save you, or give you a chance, is prayer. And I recommend Psalm 6. It's a short one. It gets to the point. And it asks for your enemies to be ashamed, not damaged. Because you have enemies that you're not even aware of yet, out there. You say out there. But they're hugging your auric field because they don't think you're very intelligent. You waste your life force. And when you do, they come in to take the place of it. And you become uncomfortable. The process of life is breath and water. And then that other process is you understand that you are literally, you understand your bones, you're living your death. You're living it. You're going through it right now. You've done it. Keep doing it. And eventually you understand that you try to choose a little more life. Yeah. Water, pleasant thoughts, the beauty of nature. They vibrate to communicate with you inside. But your visual process stops it. Because you interpret. There's a vibration in nature between the trees and the animals and everything. You're merging into that thing. Or merging, I say, being accepted into it. Mother Nature is willing to accept her children back. You're walking through space as an individual entity, so proud of yourselves. Then, you're having such a great time, everybody wants oneness. Oneness. You know what oneness is? You're in a cave with a great white light and that's all it is. You're all one. Can't see anyone, you can just feel oneness, but that's it. Can't hear anything. And then oneness becomes bored with you and kicks you out. You are oneness now. Stop with this metaphysical da-da-da-da-da. You're damaging yourself. You have a privilege of having a self. You have a privilege of having 48 personalities that you can walk through any way you want. They're the chakras, 7 times 7, they got to merge and blend and be you. The 49th is your crown, the entity that resides in there. I'm not talking about your high self. Everybody talks about the high self. The high self is out there laughing at you down here at the low self because you're not doing anything. And you're complaining to it. The merger of the high self is an isness. It is a presence always. It's present. Present. Like your brain is present. And the mind's back there. Just like your astrological chart is back there. You're experiencing all these processes as you set up. Okay? You're experiencing them. Right? That you set up in your astrological chart. You are experiencing those forces conflicting in the house, talking and chatting inside you. But you don't remember how you set it up. You don't remember. The fortunate thing for you and the understanding in your consciousness called the human condition is you have all the cosmos and astrological forces working through you. And you can stand on this planet and still look out and the stars are still there. That means those forces are still working. They haven't changed. Those stars haven't changed. Your mind is going to change. You're going to surrender to what is termed a divine will. You're going to understand what it is. And it's here in your thumb. And you're going to understand the power of love, which is right here at the base of your thumb. So the will and love work together. But it's not for the satisfaction and glorification of your you. Your you. It's for the assistance and help of others. You look, your world today is war. Well, you've got a spiritual war going on. And the only thing that can defend you are the angels because they know what to do. How to do it, and they maintain the space. That's why peace to all beings is a phrase you should become familiar with. It's an entity. It is an entity. He is an entity. Peace to all beings shows up, there will be peace to all beings. However it takes. That's what it does. It just moves into the space. Now the space you're walking in is the grace of God for you. It's an entity. She is an entity. Her name is Grace. Her name is Grace. She is Grace herself. Why? Because she's letting you beings walk through her doing what you want. She hasn't corrected yet. When space corrects, it shifts. It's like a Rubik's Cube. And the only thing that's present when space shifts is your brain. The rest of you will drag along. You're in that now. Space is shifting. Grace is shifting. Two years ago, the Virgin Mother took her robe of protection off this country. She stated it. Why? No prayers. All the walking gods down here know what they're doing. They know it. Look at them. Walking into walls, banging into each other, complaining about this and that. Don't even contemplate the breath you're breathing or the water that's thankfully been given to you. You think you've earned it. Well, that arrogance is going to have a lesson for you. The solar plexus are opening. The plexus here is opening. That's a powerful force. That's the base of your Buddha one that's sitting there. You're sitting there like this in a Buddha position. This is the one in here, the soul portion. Right? It's trying to communicate with the heart to bring it more toward the center. Balance. The soul portion of you. And now you have, and it's not your high self entities, a being out there, part of you, meditating the you down here. It holds the construct of three of you, the Trinity. The soul, the flesh, and the love of the heart. The training of the love of the heart. Because the heart has strong desires. It knows it's pumping, and if it doesn't pump, you're dead. Because he's going to move his force back into the soul level and have another incarnation. So the personalities need to communicate with each other. Root chakra needs to talk to the navel chakra. Navel chakra needs to talk to the solar plexus chakra. All the way up. And then the blending of the personalities work and you have a unified being. And you get your seals. Each chakra has a seal. Each chakra has a seal. The reason you get the seals is that when you move to the condition of assisting another, and I'm saying assisting, I'm saying assisting because you don't heal anyone. You assist in the recognition where they can sense themselves. The vibration changes, peace to all beings, and then it becomes a calmness in the understanding of you. You actually have a well, this hasn't been said before, so I got to push it in a place where you actually have I'm going to call this being your initiator. You have a being that's initiating you. It's a gold ball, golden ball, with a white auric field. It resides just behind your back here, right at the top of your neck, before it gets up to your neck on your spine. It doesn't sit there, it's off it. 6 inches. It's a golden radiation. It's the light you're going to work with after you get through with playing with sacred. You're going to move into holy. And that's a different realm because it's clean. Holy's holy. Everything's there is welcome, peaceful, calm, loving, gentle. And it configures itself to bless the space and work with grace for the little ones, and that's you walking around in her. Because you're not aware of yourselves yet. How you come out of nothing and be. And you do that consistently. Milliseconds. Blink on and off, on and off, on and off. And you haven't caught yourself yet. You're getting the training though. Because you're seeing how fast your computers respond to just typing. And how does they know to put those letters like that? It's entertainment for you. To keep you away from yourself. You should be more with nature. You should be talking to the flowers. You should be planting a little something. You should be caring for some animals. Because they know how to handle the communication truly. Even the plants know how to handle communication. You're going to need to get to that realm because your minds, or the minds that are behind you, are playing in your media all over. And you haven't seen the nonsense yet. You've already seen some of your newscasters losing it on the TV. They're not going to be able to continue to lie to you anymore. The beings will just refuse to do it anymore. And then there's going to be that presence that shows up, that stands everywhere. At the same time, for everyone to see. No matter whether it's the top of the planet or the bottom of the planet. You're having those introductory experiences in your sleeps and naps during your time when you're resting, you say. You are. The changes required within the system of the self to incorporate all these frequency changes, upgrades, we'll say, is your communication needs to change within the environment that you are in. Yet when you go in your workaday world, everyone has a structure of consciousness. Supposed to act like this, supposed to talk like this, da, 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 da. You won't have a job. But you're moving into a place where you're going to know what your job is, and that's stay alive. That's to breathe, drink water, and pray. That's the job. And when you do the prayers correctly, everything else is given unto you, because you know who you're working for and why. You're not here for yourself. You're here for yourself in the understanding that you can walk around and do something. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing you're getting out of it. The main purpose is here, you're here for someone else. You don't know where he or she is. You don't know how old they are. You don't know anything about them. But you know you're here for them. You don't know how, why, when. Because it's a heart resonance that said you would do it. And it only has to be in a store across an aisle looking at someone and they, oh yeah, okay, thank you. They remember. Because you've forgot. And you're still forgetting. Why? Because of the fear on the other side of that river. It's called the fear of God. You've heard the phrase. But there's an entity that has that name. And it is God. Only not what you expect. It's your disrespect for it that's being reflected. And your anger toward it. Yeah? If you consider Psalm 6, they're in the space with grace, you'll make it through this. That's a cheat sheet. Whether you use it or not, that's not my problem. I told you. Psalm 6 in the space, and you can walk comfortably within grace. Because she knows Psalm 6. What it includes and everything about it. Now, if you really want to perfect the actions of the 7, you start studying the Psalms. Because David is the one who received the Psalms and sang them. And David was Jesus. There's 150 Psalms. David was the entity you call Jesus in the incarnational aspects. He comes to the mountain, he takes the 150 Psalms and squeezes them here, gives you the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, stop. Contemplate. Who art in heaven, contemplate. Hallowed be thy name, contemplate. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Hallowed be thy name. What name? There's no name there. Unless you know the teachings of Jesus and the teachings of David. You can infer the name. And when you work the prayer of the Lord enough, you will be given the name. Because each of you have a different name for this being. It's like a nickname. The baby's called the Padada Mama. One of those names that you remember inherently forever. Because it gave you a you. You came out of nothing with a you. An identity, an idea, a self, a thought, a vision, aspect, a reaction. That was the you. And then the development began. And you're in it now. Right now, you're supposed to be at the culmination of this thing. That doesn't mean dead. That means understanding that you're living your death, but you appreciate this idea of life, and you're when and wherever, always. You've got another entity that wants you died out of the body. Satan, not your friend. Being exists, he's messing with you. I'm telling you that right now. You know it, you've heard it. The sanctity of the self is what's important now. It's in the solar plexus and the strings that are going to the heart to bring the heart more to the center of the understanding of the human condition. This is a human condition. It's called a condition. It's called a condition. You know? In mental illness, there are conditions. You are in a human condition that has problems with mental illness. And the selves determining who they are. Because of the forgetting. Your brain is always present. It is always present. The soul is always present. When you're in a conscious understanding. The soul knows what prayers are. It knows prayers call forth and that you can walk into. Without expecting it, and when's this one going to show up and all of that? No. The delay factors occur in the manifestation from prayer because of the location of the chakra, or because of the particular chakra the prayer was sent out from. You pray directly in the soul, up to the crown, answers immediately. You start messing around with the lower ones and doing all the little pity things, and you're going to have a little delay factor going on. Because you've got a different personality, each one's not going to agree with you. You've got to get them all together. That's why peace to all beings is needed. Calm yourself. You do have 144,000 spiritualized cells in your body. That's the 144,000 referred to in Revelations. It's individual. And it's up to you to get them together. Unify them. And peace to all beings gives you the table to bring them to forward. To the forward. To the forward. Now, when this movement, I'm going to call it the movement because it's a spiritual force and you can't do anything about it. When it hits, there's going to be a gasp. There's going to be fainting. There's going to be falling down. The knees are going to get incredibly weak. Just drop from it. You'll be almost like you have no lower legs. Boom. Because you haven't learned how to support this invisible force. It is invisible, yes, but when it descends and runs upon you, it has weight. And it pushes. And the strength to handle that weight comes from the planet. Mother Earth, her, gives you the strength to handle this. There are forces that you are familiar with, but have looked in the other direction. For instance, the moon and the tides. The water, the oceans on your planet push and pull the moon. The moon does not push and pull the tidal force, what you call tidal forces of the oceans. God's path is through the water. All of it. And it talks to the systems around you. You already know, I shouldn't have to keep repeating this, that your thoughts go to the sun and have an effect. That has been told for eons. The sun reflects those thoughts to the moon. And your answer becomes the emotional energy you're feeling in the body when the water is communicating with the moon. Your emotional contact from the mental process sent to the sun. So there's a triangular form here, and that's why the moon moves around. But you forgot yourself. You forgot you knew how to do it. That astrological chart that you have is really a circular spaceship. And the control devices are the planets. You just touch them. That's all you do. You don't move them. They're moving. The system's moving with it. But you touch and communicate. And another thing you could do if you're into an experience of the South, each planet has a representation in the mineral kingdom. Place that specific mineral in a particular house that that particular planetary system is within, the planet Mars, Jupiter, Venus, wherever they are, the stone appropriate to it. You put your hands on those stones, you're going to be talking to somebody you've never talked to before, but you remember. Oh, I won't do that one again. Because those are contracts. When you die, you go to a room out there, it's called an agreement room. You make agreements to come back and do this. Time frames, you have no idea. Time is not under the condition there. So you're making agreements all over the place, but you forget the age difference between the beings. The agreements are going to take place. So the consciousness understanding within the making of the agreements needs some education process. Yet that's the free will understanding, you see. And your United States of America has been given the benefit to allow this free will of expression of everything. Yet other countries, not, they've locked down consciousness. Think this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You're getting that collapse now, that coming together. But no one speaks the same language, though you can translate. Not the same emotion. Because consciousness within countries have different emotions. Americans, the basis, foundations was freedom of expression, pretty much. The safety of sense of self to do, as a self, unified by a self. That was the basic premise. And now you've got people that don't do anything running your life and telling you how to pay taxes. Because your condition hasn't been able to support yourself. You've lost your touch with nature. You've seen the news. 2 foot of rain in 24 hours. There are several beings in that arena, they're communicating with God right now about something. 18 bridges wiped out. That's like transportation kind of slows down. When the movement in a free society, as the United States is, when movement gets restricted, freedom of that ability, and you're not aware of the preciousness of the space that is yours, the sacredness of the space with your animals and the trees and everything, you get a crushing of consciousness, anger. A prisoner desiring to escape, doesn't care where. But he doesn't even understand what it's doing. You have to be aware that you are being influenced by ones not so much interested in your better becoming. So your defense is prayer. I recommend Psalm 6, but pick one, use it. Use ones the masters have used before, because they work. I know you'd like to make up your own because it sounds so flowery and it's yours. But the beings in the spiritual, like direct, precise, they want all that other stuff. They want to set up a line of communication with you so when they say something, you hear it, and then you say something, they hear it, and then there's a response and there's a connection. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no problem, we can fix this. Because you're working for the divine, whether you know it or not. Or at least you're signing up to. You're signing up to. Your job here on the planet as a human being is for the perpetuosity of life, the continuity of consciousness forever. It's called eternity. That's what you're here for. And that's in your books too. Conceive, provide, support. You're going the other way. You criticize and condemn because you haven't done anything yourself. You can just look at what everyone else hasn't done. Makes you feel comfortable. Everyone has a little secret papoose. Little one. Everyone has. That you said you'd rescue. That help. Or dive into the water to pull up. You said you'd do it, and you're in the process now of being prepared to do it. And you won't care about your life, that understanding, when that process hits. A matter of life and death. You understand God's in charge and you're there to help. Whatever you can do. Not kill anybody, not hurt anybody. Help the wounded, rest, bring them out. And then stabilize the space. You have 4 corners. There's 4 corners in your cube. Vertical corners, I'm talking about. Edges. You need to stabilize that. And when the cube is stabilized, then you can come out of it. You can come out of it. You're on cubic behavior now. When you find yourself in the cube, and it's a black cube, that's what this Mecca thing is, that thing there. Face north. Everybody's going to experience this, so I might as well tell you how to get out of it. Turn to the direction of north, you be face north, turn north or east, it doesn't matter. It's wherever they put you. You take your right hand with your right index finger and point it to your right side down, like that. And you poke a hole in that cube and you can go out there. And then you go down and out and up. And you come out of your valley. The valley. You're going to go into an abyss. I'll tell you that right now. And you're going to come out of it. You're going to dive into it, you're going to see you're going into it, and you're going to just float it, and then you're going to come right out. what that is the mother calling you interior portion of herself to put a new cloak on you. So she gives you her authority. She puts it on you. It's a recognition. Others will see it, recognize it. Whether they recognize it, acknowledge it in the physical is not the point. That's not going to happen. But they'll know something because they'll start looking to the top of their eyes here. Oh, these eyes are going to open. There's 6 there, 1 for each chakra. Right across there. And when it does, you're going to feel like there's a huge snake in you coming up with a big mouth. It's going to swallow you up. But you're coming out of that open mouth. You're coming out of it. You're being birthed through the mouth of your dragon, which is you. You're going to birth yourself. It'll be like you've turned yourself inside out. The feeling of it. The panic could be interesting. In order to prepare this body to receive, we had to take the condition and set it in a meditation, and to convince the entity that it was real, we had to remove a frog from it, literally, out the mouth. Came out the mouth. Big as your fist, came out the mouth and hopped away. Frog knew who it was. He knows who it was. You're all in that experience now. There are things going to be coming out that don't need to be there. You're going to be nauseous. This part of your fluidic systems in the brain is going to roll backward, actually, down to the solar plexus, which is going to be the manifestation of improper thought that you're going to have to get rid of. Because in the solar plexus is your Buddha one, and it tries to maintain proper thought. So it's assisting you in cleaning the synapses in your brain now, because you have automatic functions that go on that wasn't set by yourself. They're cleaning those out. They being the spiritual masters that you have aligned yourselves with over the centuries, because this is not your first time through this. You all know you've reincarnated. And now, with that understanding, and that the brain is present, and the soul has the power of now, and you're walking in space with grace, perhaps you could learn something. If you listen to the grace, which is her space. In order to receive effectively from grace herself, you have to at least attempt to train the system of the body and the 7 chakras to maintain grace. Maintain grace. And within the space and grace, there is a pace. There's a pace that your systems, 7 chakras, work through. And if you can find your pace, it's the center of your being, brain is present. The chakras align automatically, eventually. And then you have an understanding of who you are. And the other thing is, You also know who everyone else is and isn't. But it's not to play that one game. That's what's going on in your spiritual traditions in your churches now. All the priests and ministers aren't who you think they are. And for those with you with the vision, you can see who's there. Some of them. You don't even have to listen to the words. Everyone likes to throw around the name Jesus. But you must remember, that's his name. And he knows who's using it and how. He does. And this Sedona area is under the influence of the Virgin Mother. She is here, literally. And she is looking for the children that will love. She did not say can. She said will. That means there's an assumption that says you know how to do it. And she's looking for the children that will do it. That was given a number of years ago. You're still in the process of being sorted out to see if you're one of the ones willing to love. This whole Sedona, whole Verde Valley area is going through that now. I heard that the voices said that they declared it my valley. Beings flying out of the abyss. And they mean it. So the jurisdictional process is going to occur within yourself. The suffering is going to be within yourself. The pleasure is going to be within yourself. The understanding is going to be within yourself. The safety is going to be within yourself. And then you're going to find out where the safety comes from. It comes from the prayers from within yourself. And then you'll be aligning with people. You don't have to pray anymore because you're thinking the same thought. You're vibrating the same sort of energy. Telepathy is going to be very, very common. You're already doing it, messing with everyone. You're going to learn how to breathe it. There's notification. Why? So you'll be available when someone needs assistance, because there's a lot of confusion going to happen now. You need water and air. Water and air. You're 60-70% water. That's most of you. God's path is through the water. I've said that before. God's path is through most of you. The other 40 or 30% thinks it knows something, but it's not. It doesn't. The communication ability that you have, I mean, you beings can speak. You say words. They are interpreted by someone else that hears the words, and you have a general idea of the process for the next movement with the words. As long as everybody understands the size of boat. How big is the boat? You don't. One person says boat, thinks this, thinks that, thinks the other says thing. So you managing to move into telepathy without the use of words. You're going to understand vibration. You're going to understand or begin to intent before the thought process. Before the thought. How can you have intent before thought? You're going to understand what that means. It's presence. That moves into consciousness to assist consciousness. So it knows everything already. God will outthink you. He knows what you're going to think before you can think it. So you're calm. Peace to all beings and receive. You receive. And then what happens is, and everybody is a medium, you're going to experience more of it. And the oneness that everybody wants to go into, you will be sort of a oneness, but you'll see other entities in the oneness as individuals. And there's another form that starts taking place, a union of what you call a union. A union of the sabbaticals, and sabbatical has a different interpretation there than you use here. There's a union there. And sabbatical, as you understand it in your words, is like take a break for something. Well, in the union of sabbaticals, they allow the individual another sense of freedom that is not known yet. That's what that position is. And they basically have accumulated all the learning knowledge necessary for the process of others. That's what it is. So the life that you are and the light that you are daily is rejuvenated by the air you breathe and the water you drink. Your electrical and your magnetic. You have a battery with a negative pole here and a positive pole here. That's you. You have a ball of light that's going to come manifest right between these two poles. Gold and white light. It's going to short out these circuits. These circuits are the left side and right side of your body. You're going to need to be here. Tighten your perineum. Your perineum's in your butt muscle there. You tighten that. You're going to need to learn how to tighten each chakra like that. Tighten the solar plexus. Center, peace. Because when the force shows up, literally the force, God, the owner of everything, don't look. Pretend you're singing something and look at the ground. You'll be shown. If you look, you'll be dead. It happened to Lot's wife. Don't think this is not happening now. Sodom and Gomorrah in your little country here. Look at your news. And you think you're going to get away with it? You have pedophiles wanting rights. News, media, requesting them. What does that mean? It's going to be up to a group of ones. That's what's going on now, a grouping of ones that can save the children, or at least have some idea how to protect them. Because you got a ravaging consciousness going around after children because they know things. They come from the source sooner, earlier or later than you did. They know, got update information. And you got that destruction of the feminine consciousness going on in this other thing here. But you don't understand that here in this country. Very seldom do you pray for others in other countries. Never mind your neighbors or yourself. You only pray for yourself when you're scared. You don't give yourself enough credit for the wisdom that you have to be born in the first place. Because you were part of the experience. You made a choice there. You accepted it. You might not have agreed to the timing of it, and that wasn't your option, but you were sent and agreed. You're here now in it, literally. And the Virgin Mother is looking for those that will love. So my suggestion is, Psalm 6, you want to communicate with her, the Hail Mary or Rosary would be good. And listen to what she says to you about your willingness to love. What I found is, she usually sends you to the store. So you can talk, at least look into the eyes of that poor cashier there that's struggling. Has to serve everyone else and barely making enough for themselves. And you can calm peace. So they can at least breathe for another day to be doing. You're learning, you physical individual entities are learning how to be a discerning, compassionate, holy self. You're going through the sacred steps now. Holy is a different movement. There's more knowledge there. More or less interference in the processes of others' lives. Because your power, as you move into the holy understanding, is working with prayers. And eventually, someone will want to know what you used, and you tell them, and let them use it. Because specific prayers do specific things. Right now, your consciousness needs defense because you don't even know who you're in battle with. And that's Psalm 6. The first verse talks about forgiving yourself for your iniquities, asking God. The fifth verse, halfway through, talks about there's no remembrance of you in Sheol, the hell and the other places. And then the 10th verse is about the enemies and the after being ashamed. This refers to the enemies, means the demonic forces. That's what it means. Demons. Demons. Those guys that don't exist. Those guys. The evil ones. That like going to schools and shooting children in school. Now, some beings might say that's a sickness. And it's the gun's fault. It's evil. And you've got to get that clear. It's not a mental illness. That's the excuse for the continuity of the nonsense. How do you help? You pray for it. But you've got a generation entities, and you're experiencing the results of it now, that has no spiritual training in the family structure. You have a whole generation of parents and children and nothing. And now you're seeing the results. You're seeing it. You're not just seeing one shooting at one school. There are not enough prayers to stabilize the space. And you're going to lose the influence of grace. The human condition will lose that influence, and that's when the space is going to shift. And part of you will be over here, the other part's going to be over there, and you're not going to like it. So you need to center in a prayer of self. You need to pray for your parents because they brought you here. They allowed you to be a here. Be a here. Be, allow you to be as a one here. And you got to thank your mother's mother, and her mother, and her mother, and her mother. Because that's where your bones came from. And they had it worse than you do now. Much worse. Much worse. You righteously do not have the right to complain as they did. Yet you're doing just as much complaining. no doing. Space is the grace. Your Sedona area is becoming a more holy place. It's going to go that way. When the children will love. No longer a can. Will. Because there's so many, just need a hand here. It's okay. It's okay. Or on the back, it's okay. Or an encouragement. Or tell them they did a good job and that was not that. Because you're proceeding somewhere. And it seems forward in moments, but it's really backing up and going up. And that astrological chart's going to tip. You're going to be at your computer with your little spaceship, and you're going to know exactly who you're communicating with, what you're doing, and what houses it's in, and what it means in the house. The house represents manifestations, what it does. That's why it's called a house. You're familiar where you live, in a house, a safe place, a house. Those houses are where you manifest and how you use the forces to do. It's going to tip, and you're going to just see how you do it now. Because right now you're under the influence and you're not aware. You think something's there. You think there are other beings. Maybe God exists. Virgin Mother real? Does Jesus really do that? John the Baptist, John the Baptist. It's nonsense. You know it. You all know it. Being born in the United States already puts that lock on you, the seal on you, that you know these systems. This country was founded on that principles. Your consciousness knows that before you even got here. That's your power. That you let others take it away from you. No. Now look at you. The struggle is to stand now. Hang on. Protect the space. How do you do that? You say your prayers, you stay centered, you push your auric field out. More people do that. The auric field spreads out. Cubes, space. You feel it when you walk through it, the wall of the cube. And then you begin to ask permission to enter this particular space, the boundaries of it. As you say, you driving into Sedona, entering Sedona, you ask permission. But the consciousness in your country doesn't ask permission to do anything. Because it's all yours. I deserve all of this. Oh, how come? Because you think so? Well, you're going to find out another secret within your astrological chart. Where the planet Jupiter is. Those are the prayers of the house that you used to use to get you to this point now. That's why Jupiter's in that house. Jupiter represents the force of God as you would think it. Oh, mythologically speaking. Those guys. But it has an indication for you of secret prayers of your own. No one else knows. That allows you to get to here. Through the reincarnation of hundreds of years, hundreds. So you're there now learning yourself. And it's time now to appreciate the self of you that's doing the learning. And thank that self that's doing the learning. Because part of you doesn't want to do it. But part of you is doing it for you. And you know what I'm talking about. The postponement thing. Postpone. You schedule. You have schedules. Schools have schedules. Children have schedules in schools for lunches. You have beings requiring you to perform some functions so they can still be. You need to schedule those things and get them set instead of this free-for-all thing. Because everything goes crazy. And there's a how come this and how come that, how come it? Schedule. But it's difficult. Huh? Why? Because Your worldly money consciousness has got you scheduled for your week of 40 hours. They own you. You got some hours a night where you can sleep, and then you maybe have your weekend, but then you have doing everything. You haven't focused on yourself. When the weather really starts changing, you're going to have an opportunity to focus on yourself. And you're going to have an opportunity to reflect of why you didn't communicate with the weather beforehand and the entities there. It's the postponement syndrome. Put it off till tomorrow, next day, next day, next day. No. Now. It has to be done now. What has to be done now? Breathe and drink water. And say a prayer and be thankful. And get ready for your next step. Palms up. Receive. Peace to all beings. Calm the mind, calm the body. Peace to all beings, calm the heart. 4 chambers in the heart. Boom, 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 boom. I am that I am. That's the heart speaking. It doesn't have a personality yet. You're training it. You're training yourself for a mission you don't know you're going to have to do yet. You're preparing the body for it, but you know it's a mission. The word mission is something you have to do. It can be frightening. But when the acknowledgement of the preciousness you are in God's sight is there, then you have a companion within the divine world that's teaching you another thing. And that you need to focus on. And that's the light that's in the center of the heart, in the junction of those 4 chambers. That's where the Buddha one in you talks to. This light loves the Buddha one. The Buddha one loves the light. And then your Buddha one extends its legs into the legs, arms into the arms, and you stand up with the gold frequency. That's what you're building now, your Buddha one. The one that can walk without fear. Each step it takes, it feels the earth, knows the preciousness of the space it just moved into, and the thankfulness of the space it just left, being introduced through. You're going to learn to walk that way in a different manner, and then your aura expands everywhere. And eventually, you can have the understanding of floating. Yeah? But people do that to impress others. You don't want to do that. It's inappropriate for the bones. And those are your sacred tools, because that's what's letting you stand up. You can't do it. Your bones are doing it for you. They're supporting all the overlays and flesh and all that stuff. And you're going to find out that your ribs, sort of like a little organ here being played by divine forces. You're the music box. But it won't be a sound. It'll be a light and a resonance that starts connecting you with all the other ribs in your auric field. And then there's a questioning within the ribs, and that's what you're feeling now. And it can get disconcerting. Peace to all beings, peace to all beings. Thank God for being God. Thank the Holy Mother for being the Holy Mother. Thank Jesus for being Jesus. Thank John the Baptist for being John the Baptist. And then you'll find out they'll thank you for being you. These beings. Health to the body, the mind, and the spirit. Peace to all beings. Strength to the body comes up from the earth. Mind and spirit. Strength for the mind is the confidence that's behind you. You've already done it. The brain is present. Confidence for the mind is strength for the mind. You've done it. You know the rules of those applications you've gone through. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. You know the experience and the result. You're it. You're the result of it. So now breath, brain present, you have a newness available. Within a foot of you. A new vehicle can literally drop right down there and you can walk into it. If you hold the thought of the presence of God always first. Pick a name. Whatever satisfies your equation for the justification of self, use it. There's only one that created everything and allowed the creation and the process of it until it debased itself. And you went through the Sodom and Gomorrah thing. And you're preparing to repeat the same thing. So if you're being guided and hear say, move, don't look back. Pay attention. Because it'll only be you have to suffer with. I don't mean to bring a lot of heavy news information here, but you're aware of this. I'm bringing you the devices that will protect you, keep you in peace and safety as you go through this self of yourself within this. And that's Psalm 6. When you understand Psalm 6, then you can rejoice and read Psalm 150, because that's all singing and praises. And remember, Jesus gave the Lord's Prayer because there's secrets in it. There are secrets in it. They contain the power of the 150 Psalms that he used when he was David. Any more than that, you're going to have to work it yourself. So you get some level of confidence in what I'm talking about. Because just hearing without application is nothing. You're in the application mode. You are. And you're dying. That's the application mode of your process of what you understand. You're living your death, but you don't understand living a life, which is appreciation of death in a manner. Not to be dead. The appreciation of not being dead. That's how you appreciate that. Do that over there. Difficult concept to understand sacred. It's even more intricate to understand holy. Because all of your organs respond in that way. They do not like to be in a manner considered unholy. They're a little cleaner inside, literally, in their thought processes than you are. That's why you have skin and flesh. Protect it. Protect the bones. Peace to all beings, health to body, mind, and spirit. I want you to look down your genetic line. Just look. There they are. Peace to all beings. Send light along that line. Peace to all beings. Send light. Those that are physical in the consciousness of your present understanding, now send light to all your relatives. Peace to all beings. Domes of protection around them. Peace. So they can breathe at least a breath of peace for a moment. And understand the significance and importance of themselves as a unit within the space of time and grace now. Because you're being offered an opportunity, entities, but you got to get a hold of this one. The door's almost closed. Actually, it is closed for some. So peace to all beings. The more prayers offered, the more prayers answered. More prayers offered, more prayers answered. One of the secrets with the repetition of prayers is you get so excited at doing it that you get angry in doing it, and then the true expression of it comes up. You don't abandon doing it because you keep doing it, and then you find out what happened. That's why I recommend Psalm 6. Read that 10 times. You'll have another appreciation for your spiritual guides, particularly when you get to verse 10. That verse will have an effect in the physical world. It was meant for those enemies in the astral primarily. But now, because things are coming so close, you're going to see who they are in the physical. And you might not think who they are. Because shame will hit them. And shame is something that most beings don't want to be influenced by. Peace to all beings. We are through.